Hi, welcome to Weekend Box Office Predictions and Movie Review. Today is May 2nd, 2016. My name is Craig and I'm your host. Hey, for today's show I'm going to review this past weekend's box office actual numbers and also see how well I did compared to other experts in my segment of Beat the Expert, and also give you a couple quick movie news bits that I picked up over this past weekend. So new movies, first one was Keanu. I made a prediction of 12.5 million, and this movie actually came in at only 9.5 million. What's funny about this movie is it did hit the studio estimates. That's about what they were saying was 9 to 10 million. But pretty much all the other experts out there were saying that this movie had the potential of hitting anywhere from 17 to 20 million for this past weekend. I don't know much about the guys that were in this movie, but I guess they have a TV show out there. If you want to put it in the comments below and list what it is, I greatly appreciate it. But I guess they're pretty well known, and I just didn't know much about them. So I just kind of pretty much went off my feel, and I went a little bit high, but I was only a couple million off. So it did hit the studio estimate. This movie obviously won't last too much longer around. They'll probably end up with around 25-30 million total. So. Brian had made a prediction of 10.1 million, so he was pretty close there. And Eric had made a prediction of 17 million, so obviously he was way off, but he was kind of falling in line with what a lot of the other experts were saying. So, second movie that was new this past weekend was Mother's Day, and I made a prediction of 8.8 million, and this movie came in right at 8.4 million, so it was only a couple $100,000 off. Great prediction on my part. Did read a number that Julia Roberts was paid 3 to 4 million. Basically for doing about a week and a half's worth of work in this movie. So, hey, kudos to her. So, it'd be nice to make that kind of money for just a couple weeks. So, but this movie kind of performed pretty much where they expected, and it may do a little bit more next weekend with Civil War coming out, and the women that don't want to see Civil War obviously could have something else to go see with it actually being Mother's Day weekend. So. Brian had made a prediction of 11.5 million, and Eric had made a prediction of 7.8 million, so they were kind of close within there as well. So Eric was obviously closer there. Next movie, this movie did not kick any asteroid this weekend. The two heroes of Ratchet and Clank crashed and burned. I had made a prediction of 6 million. This movie only came in at 4.9 million. This movie just did not do anything at all. It obviously will not do anything here in the future, so they might be hoping that it will maybe do something drastic and have good sales on Blu-ray, streaming, and all that good stuff. So, Holdovers, our number one movie for the past 3 weeks now, is The Jungle Book. I had made a prediction of 40 million. This movie came in at 43.7 million. So this movie had a great weekend once again. It's over 250 million U.S. and it is now sitting at 688 million worldwide. Brian had made a prediction of 38 million, so he was just 5 million off, 5.5 million off. So that was a great prediction on his part. Thanks for giving those predictions in as well. I appreciate those. The Huntsman was the next movie. I made a prediction of 7.8 million. This movie did very well for its second weekend, considering it came off to a slow start. Made 9.6 million, about a 50% drop. So there may be a little bit of life in it. We'll have to wait and see. But they're still predicting a huge loss of at least 30 to 70 million for this movie. Next is the movie Barbershop. It's now up to 45 million in the U.S. I had made a prediction of 5.8 million, and it came in right at 6.1 million. So great prediction on my part. Just a couple $100,000 off on this movie. Next was Zootopia. This movie had another wonderful weekend. I made a prediction of 5.3 million. Came in right at 4.9 million. It's now up to 323 million U.S., 932 million worldwide. This movie's doing great, and really be neat to see this movie hit the $1 billion mark. So, next is the movie The Boss. I made a prediction of 3.45 million. Movie had another good weekend at 4.3 million. So it's now up at 56 million for U.S. gross. Next is Batman vs. Superman. Obviously, they might as well go ahead and pull this movie after this week. What little that are going to see it at this point, it probably will not see it unless they just can't get into Civil War. I made a prediction of 3.3 million. Had an awesome weekend at 3.9 million. So I was just 600,000 off. It's now grossed 325 million in the U.S., 863 million overall. It's obviously not going to hit that $1 billion mark at this point, which is A little bit surprising, but at the same time it's not. So last, for rounding out the top 10, is the movie Criminal. I made a prediction of 1.65 million, and it came in at 1.35 million. So just about 300,000 off or so there, and it's now sitting at 13.5 million. Next part of my segment, or next part of my show, is my segment of Beat the Expert that I like to do, where I compare myself to other experts in the industry. For the week, 5th place was Box Office Profits at 78.5%. 4th place was Showbuzz Daily at 81.9%. Finishing in a tie for 2nd place was myself and Box Office Pro at 85%. And in 1st place this week was Box Office Mojo, who had a great week at 89.2%. So overall, 1st place is Box Office Pro at 82.39%. I'm in 2nd still at 82.25%, so only 0.14 of a percent now separate us. Showbiz Daily's at 3rd at 79.6%. 4th place is Box Office Mojo at 78.8%. And in last place is Box Office Profits at 75.3%. Hey, a couple pieces of news I saw this past weekend is the movie The Martian is going to come out with an extended cut. When I looked up to see it, they're going to add an hour where you're going to watch the potatoes grow. And then also there's going to be 20 additional minutes of listening to Matt Damon complain about the disco music. No, just kidding about all that. They're adding 21, actually I take it back, 10 minutes and 2 hours of bonus features on this. Mostly interviews from the author to a couple NASA people. So what's kind of surprising though is Ridley Scott, when he turned in his actual movie, he had it at 2 hours and 45 minutes. The theatrical version is 2 hours and 24 minutes. So if you add 10 minutes, you're still missing 11 minutes there. So it's kind of wondering why they just didn't actually go with what his final cut was. Who knows? I hope they don't come out with the ultra extended edition here in the near future as well. So that would kind of be irritating, but we'll have to wait and see. Next news is Captain America Civil War. This movie came out internationally this past weekend, except for the U.S. obviously, and this movie grossed over 200 million already for its opening weekend, which is just phenomenal. Those numbers are running kind of close to what Ultron did, just kind of give a rough estimate where it's at, but lots of times with international, a lot of the numbers trickle in. Sometimes they may not get them as accurate until it is close to the end. So, hey, that's it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate those that have watched each and every week. One thing I'm going to do here, though, is I want to get moving on my nickname. Is if by Memorial Day weekend I don't have the number of subscribers that I'm looking for, I'm going to go ahead and reveal that, and it will happen Memorial Day weekend. I'm hoping it'll happen sooner, but if not, that's when I will do it. So thanks for tuning in. Hey, giving you predictions you can count on, and they're better than the weatherman. Take care.